2024 session of Lake Forest City Council. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Certainly, Mayor, for a day. Honorable Mayor Tack.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Clemmons.
Here.
Alderman Notes.
Here.
Alderman Powers.
Here.
Alderman Gashgarian.
Here.
Alderman Levert.
Here.
Alderman Weber.
Here.
Alderman Walder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor for a day, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get to the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to introduce Tucker Devasetti, who is our mayor for the day. Tucker is a fourth grader at the Lake Forest Country Day School. He's an avid baseball player, aspiring to be a pitcher, I understand. So anyway, Tucker, thanks for helping us out this evening. And everybody please welcome Mayor for a Day, Tucker Devasetti.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. I messed that up several times. Anyway, the first item on the agenda is comments by mayor, and first item is the introduction of the mayor for a day, which we've already accomplished, so we'll move on from there. The next item is the swearing in of patrol officer Sarah Rivera Martinez, but before we do that, I would simply like to say congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, can you turn on your mic?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Back to Patrolman Sarah Rivera Martinez. We'd like to welcome you to the community of Lake Forest and congratulate you on joining one of the finest police departments in the state of Illinois. We truly look forward to watching you in your career here in the city of Lake Forest. At this time, I would like to introduce the Interim Chief of Police, Michael Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. Yeah, this is a great honor to be able to come here tonight to have one of our brand new police officers be sworn in for the City Council. Appreciate your time tonight. Just a little note on Sarah Rivera Martinez. She started with us in 2022 as a community service officer. Prior to that, she worked in a couple different locations doing security work. She did very, very well with us as a CSO, and over the course of a year really excelled and decided to try and make law enforcement her career. She participated in our hiring process. She ended up finishing right at the top, and luckily we were able to offer her a job, and she graciously accepted. And we sent her out to the academy last January. She graduated at the end of April after 16 weeks at the Police Institute, Training Institute down in Champaign, Illinois. And she's been in the field training program ever since, and she's doing very well. So with that, I'd like to introduce Officer Sarah Rivera Martinez. Pinning her tonight is going to be Commander Tim Gretz and Officer Marina Chernikovich.
Excellent. Come on up. Execute the duties of police officer.
And that I will faithfully execute the duties of police officer.
To the best of my knowledge and ability.
To the best of my knowledge and my ability.
Sure.
Yeah, can you move the mic?
Have you stand here. I'll stand up. Right.
Squeeze in, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice work.
Okay, so before we move on, I'm going to ask the city manager to make a few comments.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. I just wanted to say a few words before we allow most of the officers in the room to leave, but I wanted to take advantage of the fact that they're all here to acknowledge that on tonight's omnibus agenda, we have requests to approve a new collective bargaining agreement between the city and our patrol officers union. And I just want to acknowledge sort of both my pleasure with the way the process played out, and I think it's the latest in a continuing history of mutual respect and collaboration between the city and our police officers union. I think we work very well together in trying to find alignment in doing what's best for our officers and making sure they're well taken care of, while also doing so in a way that ensures the financial sustainability of the city. And so again, really pleased with the way the process played out, and I wanted to just take the opportunity to specifically acknowledge, I don't see them here, but the union's negotiating team, Officer Mike Hughes, Matt Allen and Troy DeVries, and then also the city's negotiating team, our Director of Human Resources, Amber Campbell, our Interim Chief, Mike Lang, and Deputy Chief, Kevin Zelk. So congratulations to all parties for, I think, a successful and productive negotiation, and just wanted to make sure I had a chance to say that before they all head out for the evening. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you very much. And at this time, we will dismiss the police department to your usual responsibilities.
Family are welcome to leave and celebrate as well, if you like.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the 2024 and 2025 board and commission appointments and reappointments. For Croya, there will be 2 appointments, Katie Donovan, Ward 1, and Ann Kiesling, Ward 2. For library, there will be 1 appointment, Garth Pearson, Ward 2. Can I have a motion to approve the appointments?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The next item is comments by city manager.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. Good evening. I have 2 items under my report for this evening. First, I want to introduce Todd Nahigian, our Croya manager. Last month, Croya held its annual recognition dinner, and one of the real highlights of that evening is recognizing the essay winner for the Margot Martino Spirit of Croya essay contest. And I'll invite Todd up in a minute to introduce our winner, but before I turn it over to him, I just want to take the opportunity to not just acknowledge Todd, but his team as well. Catherine, Rick, and Susan, I think, there you are all here, and Really, Croya is truly, it's one of the true, I think, gems in our community and a really unique service. But every time I have the opportunity to attend an event at Croya, I'm always just amazed at sort of the maturity and levels of emotional intelligence that the kids who participate in Croya exhibit, and it's a real testament to the staff that we have leading the program. So thanks to all of you, and with that, Todd, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mr. Mayor for a day, and all the aldermen. It's kind of ironic that we're here representing the youth, and we have a mayor for the day that's in 4th grade. Very proud of you. This is good things to come. We hope you'll join Croya in a few years.
Nope.
All right. So tonight we're excited to be able to show you a video of Tyler Klein reading his winning essay. He's out of the country with his family, and so unfortunately we're not able to have him here. But we wanted to make sure we use technology to the best of our ability, and so we have a few slides to share some things that we've been going through in the last year. At first, I would like to say that Croya's year has been a really outstanding one. Our involvement has been great. The quality and the quantity of our programs and meetings have been outstanding due to some great leadership that we've had this year from our executive committee. We've recently had our next executive committee for 24-25 elected, and you'll get to see a photo of them in just a couple minutes here. So over the past years, we've set a goal for 300 programs and meetings to happen throughout the course of the year, whether it be at Croya, out on road trips, or at the high school or the middle schools. And our total for this fiscal year up through April 30th was 373. We have a busy staff and we have some busy students. We're collaborating all the time with the school leaders and the teachers and the social workers to make sure that kids are supported in an outstanding way. This is a photo, a couple photos from some of our social programs that we've done this year. One is the bubble ball soccer, which we played this year for the first time on the turf. And then the Croya Carnival, where we had a dunk tank where we sometimes dunked people and sometimes we just enjoyed the dunk tank. So these pictures are really an expression of just some of the fun that we're doing. Another few ideas of things that we were able to pull off this year were a mechanical bull, which was ridden by many students, laser tag, water balloon wars, our cooking club, our trips to Six Flags, and the Cubs game, which of course for this summer is tomorrow night. So we have a lot of things going on a fun level. It's too bad the police all left because I wanted to share with you guys the Donut Cup floor hockey and the Donut Cup flag football programs are some of our favorite programs throughout the year that we play football and floor hockey with the police, break down those stereotypes between the students and the officers, and build relationships. Sometimes the officers even bring their spouses and family in order to get to show that they are real people behind those uniforms, just like kids are real people, even though there's times that maybe the police and the kids don't get along. Some of the other things that we do over the summer, we march in the Lake Forest Day Parade. We have a lot of fun building our parade floats throughout June and July for the two parades, Lake Bluff 4th of July and Lake Forest Day. And we have a lot of fun with that as well. And then this is a photo from a recent retreat that we took. We take 90 to 100 kids to a camp in Ingleside, Illinois called Camp Henry Horner. And it's a wonderful place where we break into groups and do lots of activities over the course of a 3-day weekend where kids really have about as good of a time as ever, and we represent a lot of the fun that Croya has to offer, but probably at the highest level of the meaningful things that Croya has to offer. Kids are building friendships, they're getting to know the other people in their class, but they're also getting to know themselves better and really having an opportunity to learn about who they are and how they fit into their peer group at their high school. We also have been doing a lot of community service. On the right, you see a picture of our recent group that just returned from Habitat for Humanity in Macomb, Illinois, and they had an outstanding trip there. Some of the kids are actually here with us tonight. And then also on the left is a graduating class of our peer training program, which we teach about 100 students every year at the high school. And then we also have programs that we do through the middle schools, peer assisted leadership at Lake Bluff Middle School, a peer pressure program at Deer Path Middle School, and a number of other leadership programs that we've worked on with Lake Forest Country Day. Mayor for a Day, Mr. Tucker, you're going to be able to be a part of that in the next couple of years, I'm sure. So that'll be fun. Before I go any further, I made a mistake by not introducing the kids that are here. I want them to come up quickly and give each of you a Croya t-shirt. And we have an article that was posted in the Forest Scout newsletter, the newspaper, and I'd like to have them hand that out to you so you have a couple items to go away from today. I want to thank Ann Kiesling for being here on the night of her being approved, part of the Croya board in Ward 2. And thank Chris Carr for being here. She's our chairman, representative from Lake Bluff. And we've had an outstanding year, and our next meeting will be in July to kind of support the summer programs that are going on.
Thanks.
Mark.
You know that shirt. Thank you.
Were you getting that for your dad?
No.
Thanks, you guys.
Large? Perfect, thanks.
An exciting new item just off the press is the fact that we're going to be taking our peer training program into a new format at the high school next year. There's going to be a freshman advisory program called the Scout Seminar. And the Scout Seminar pilot program is 100 students. And that's going to meet as an advisory, like a homeroom, throughout the course of the year. And we're going to get to bring peer training into that program. The only issue at this point is who's going to teach the class, because we only have 5 staff. But the idea is we're going to co-teach with the Lake Forest High School teachers and social workers in order to make this an opportunity that could potentially live on for years to come. And if they continue to add students to this Scout Seminar program, we could potentially be teaching hundreds of students our peer training curriculum every school year. This was a picture from our pink party that we held in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we had a lot of kids come and support our cause by buying t-shirts. We donated money to the Breast Cancer Foundation and the Pinky Swear Foundation, which are outstanding groups supporting breast cancer research. And we also had a program this year where we helped out with the Gorton Holiday Shop, and our young man Tyler that wrote the essay was actually an honored part of that service project as well, carrying on a long-standing tradition at Croya. So we're pretty excited about the things that we're doing. This week, as I mentioned, is the Cubs trip, and then Thursday and Friday, we're going to do a work stay program for middle school students. They can come do social service projects throughout the community and then have an opportunity to stay overnight at Croya, which is kind of a fun thing. This is a few pictures from our recent Battle of the Bands. You may know that Battle of the Bands is typically held in Lake Forest High School or at Gorton Community Center. We've held it at a number of different areas, but never indoors at Croya until this year. And it was an outstanding group of bands that played. We had over 200 people attend, and it was really exciting to be able to use the Croya stage in a way that it was really meant for. In the past, when you switch out 5 or 6 bands in a short period of time, it's really hard to do that on a smaller stage. And so we had the drum set was used by all bands, and we had a few less bands this year, so it worked out. The poinsettia sale was one of the top we ever had in Croya's history. It's been going on for over 30 years. We sold over $16,000 worth of poinsettias and other special plants. And I hand it to the kids because they really put their efforts in this year, and we're selling to everybody they knew, neighbors, family, friends, and other community members. So that was really outstanding. I always like to post the Croya values. This is one of the most important principles that we have, is that acceptance, respect, empathy, and accountability are truly the most important things when kids walk in the door, to make sure they feel the belonging and the acceptance that we offer at Croya for the 7th grade through 12th grade students. And finally, on the left, this is the swearing in of this next year's Croya Executive Committee at the Croya Annual Recognition Dinner, where we honored the students that are graduating and also had 3 awards that we announced, 4 awards, that we announced in honor of our founders. Frank Farwell is the Community Service Award, and that was won by our recently graduated chairman of Croya, Lulu Flavin. So thank you for that, Lulu. She did a great job throughout her years, doing more service than most kids do in a lifetime in a small amount of years. And then we had 2 winners, Lissy Bloom and Scott Weston were the winners of our Gene Hotchkiss Community Citizenship Award. And finally, we'll move on to the Margot Martino Spirit of Croya Essay Contest. Tyler couldn't be here, as I said, but we'd like to be able to talk a little bit about Tyler and have the video played. So Tyler Klein served as the vice chairman of Croya this year on the executive committee. He also served as the cable tech chair back in his junior year. And he was also a retreat leader for both his junior year and senior years. And he's just been an outstanding kid who everybody really enjoys, and he's been one of the most welcoming kids at Croya. His essay definitely will be one that you'll remember. So without further ado.
After having my freshman year of high school taken away, I was eager to try something new. I wanted to be vulnerable. Starting my Croya experience in September of my sophomore year, I was excited as I sat down to hear what the people had to say at the meeting about Croya. Being told to stand up if it's your first Croya meeting makes anybody's heart sink, as they have no idea what the parliamentarians are going to ask. That is a feeling I so desperately wanted going into my sophomore year, and it was given right to me. It was hard at first adapting to Wednesday being busy every night from 7 to 8, but what was to come was so worth it. Slowly over time, Croya started becoming a very important part of my life. I wanted to hold on to this thing that was Croya and cherish it. I wanted to know how far I could go. When I was first introduced to the retreats, it allowed me to put myself out there exactly how I pictured it. It made me feel so many new emotions that I never felt before. It made me feel so many new emotions that I never felt before.
We're going to take care of the audio here for a minute so you can hear.
And thanks to many great leaders over the years, as well as numerous peer training classes, I was taught what it meant to be a good leader and was allowed the opportunity to lead in the fall. Here is where I found what Croya means to me. Croya means the world. My eyes were open to the impact I could have on others, and I wanted to make that my grail. Being a young 15-year-old, I didn't know that I have this ability to impact other Croya kids my age. However, where I saw this impact firsthand was on the first retreat that I led. It was there that I understood that being in a leadership position, I could really benefit others. A saying that stuck with me since my very first peer training class is to close your mouth and open your ears. This is when I realized how powerful being a good listener can be. This is one of the things that I worked really hard on to achieve as a Croya kid. People, no matter their age, want to be heard, whether it be something going on at home or something stressing you out at school. Having someone there that you can talk to is one thing, but someone who really hears you can make an impact. As my experience with Croya grew, so did the realization that it didn't matter if I was at a Wednesday night meeting or a retreat. What I had learned was that these moments of connection with other Croya kids can happen anywhere, at any time, in anybody's world. Whether it be in the hallways saying hi or asking someone in the lunchroom how their day is going, the Croya connections went well past the walls of the Croya building. The connections went into my world. And as I enter the life ahead of me after high school, I know Croya will always be a part of me. And I have a feeling that when I wake up on Wednesday mornings, wherever I am in the world, I will reach for some sort of Croya merch and be reminded that my connections to Croya aren't really that far away. Thank you.
Well, we'll let Tyler know that we played it and we clapped a little bit. But if anybody has any questions or thoughts that they'd like to share, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Or questions or comments? Okay.
All right, thanks for
Thank you
having us
very
again,
much.
you guys, this year. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not yet.
Before I get to the second item under my report, I'm happy to take a minute if the Croya participants want to leave. Of course, you're welcome to stay as well. Okay, as I said, the second item under my comments tonight are in reference to an item on your omnibus agenda tonight, which is approval of a formal memorandum of understanding between the City of Lake Forest and the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Senior Citizens Foundation. For a little bit of context, the city and the Senior Citizens Foundation have a long history of partnership. In fact, it goes all the way back to 1997, and the foundation has played a critical role in providing supplemental funding to support senior services and programming within the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff communities. Some of that history includes fundraising for Dickinson Hall improvements, partnering with the city on other capital expenses, including replacement of the senior bus and recent kitchen improvements. And as part of the relationship, the foundation had previously funded a senior advocate position that was ultimately contracted through an outside agency. And new to the current fiscal year budget is consideration of an in-house senior advocate position. The position will provide tremendous benefit to our local senior population. Some of the responsibilities of the position include financial assistance, emotional support, caregiver support, referrals, assessment, resources, and other consultations, including helping guide some of our older adults through the Medicare enrollment process, which can be pretty confusing. And so the position will be a tremendous resource for, again, the seniors in our community, and it's really been made possible through the support and generosity of the Senior Foundation. And so the MOU that you have on your agenda tonight really outlines the partnership in meeting the needs of the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff senior communities. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge our appreciation and gratitude to the Foundation Board for their continued support in this process. We have several members with us here tonight. We have Steve Potzik, Paul Lemieux, and Gail Stringer-Wayne, and they were critical in helping move this forward, and again, very appreciative for all of their efforts. And in the drafting of the MOU, there was a lot of work that went into it from Tricia Schwall, our Senior Resources Manager, and Elizabeth Hollab, our Finance Director. So certainly want to acknowledge all of their efforts as well. Again, this is a wonderful story for us and very appreciative of the partnership, and happy to answer any questions that the council may have and or welcome any comments if any members of the Foundation Board have anything they'd like to share.
Are there any comments?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Again, my name is Steve Potzik. I'm the president of the Foundation Board. Thank you for those wonderful comments, Jason. It was a challenge. The foundation has never had a written agreement with the city. It's always been based on a handshake. But when you're talking about supporting a new position, a city position, then it obviously had to be more formalized. So we were pleased to do that. The foundation clearly role is to give services to seniors. And we particularly try to consider seniors who have lived here for many years, have raised their kids here, have worked here, but are finding difficulty staying in the community because of market prices. And so one of the initiatives with the city, one of the partnerships, is always to look at affordable senior housing. And it's been a long challenge. Hopefully we'll get it done this year. But again, it just shows the partnership between the city and the foundation, which would not be possible unless we had basically the same goals. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Okay, Alderman Weber.
Thank you so much. I just had a comment. I've had the opportunity to work in programming with Tricia and some other organizations out at Dickinson Hall. And whenever I'm interfacing with residents or clients of mine, I have always found that the Senior Resource Foundation has been a great resource for people in the community, whether it's someone who finds himself with an injury that needs a wheelchair and they can borrow a wheelchair, or someone that you mentioned Medicare, or looking to get out and meet some people. Maybe they're new to the area, someone's parent moves into their home. So I want to reiterate that it's not necessarily just this quote of seniors. What does senior really mean? It's really for even those who have aging parents. And we need help to negotiate and understand all of these different challenges as we age as people. So thank you for all the hard work that all of you do to advocate on behalf of that
Thank you.
demographic.
One of the things that you just mentioned, which we're very proud of and which the senior advocate does a lot of, we have aging parents, and so the kids, the adult kids, don't quite know what to do. So calling up and meeting, sometimes visiting with the senior advocate, gives the parents a good idea of what's available, either to keep them independent in their home or to make other arrangements. So it's a strong activity that the senior advocate does.
Alderman Kashkarian.
Yeah, I have a comment. Steve, thank you very much. I just do want to point out, obviously, the irony is lost not on anybody that we had Croya here earlier, and now we're addressing the Senior Foundation. Because of Dr. Postic, I know you're a pediatrician by training, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I.
But I do like seniors.
I know. and as an orthodontist, I tend to focus my efforts on a younger demographic. And I think all too often we become very focused and maybe even hyper-focused on the younger members of our community. We go to great lengths to educate our students, our young people in the community. We spend millions of dollars on resources within the park system, as evidenced by our new fields behind Deer Path. But I also believe that we're behind the game with our partnership with seniors in the communities, and I really believe that this is probably long overdue. And I'm pleased that we're putting it in the city budget. We look forward to the senior housing out on the corner of Everett and Telegraph, which I know it's a little bit behind schedule, but looking forward to that so seniors can age in place, meaning within the city of Lake Forest. But, I would submit that our senior advocate will be highly utilized, and I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or two there was a very reasonable request for more support, because again, this is a wonderful community, and those of us that can do like to age here in place. And to Alderman Weber's point in terms of having parents or some who are closer to retirement and want to stay here, I think it's an incredibly important partnership that we're forming, and I think we need to build on that partnership. So thank you for all the hard work that you do. I look forward to seeing more out of the foundation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning I was a pediatrician, but I also was, for example, the director of the health department in Kansas. And in that role, we inspected and licensed nursing homes. So I have a great deal of experience dealing with seniors as well. Of course, I'm one as well, so, that counts.
Are there any other comments or questions? I'd just like to add my appreciation to completing this agreement. I think it's a big accomplishment for the city and the foundation. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is opportunity for citizens to address the city council, opportunity for public commitment. Is there anyone who would like to address the city council?
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item. And the next agenda item is committee reports. Finance Committee, consideration of the annual appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2025 and approval of rollovers first reading. This will be presented by Elizabeth Holub, Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor for a Day, and City Council members. Thank you for that introduction. We are seeking City Council granting a first reading of the appropriations ordinance. So the City Council approved the fiscal year 25 budget and comprehensive fiscal plan in April, but the formal legal mechanism of approval of spending public funds is the appropriation ordinance. Under state statute, we must approve the appropriation ordinance each year and file it with the county clerk by the end of the first fiscal quarter. So that's July 31st. So we have first reading scheduled this evening, and then at your July 15th meeting, we'll have a public hearing and grant final approval of the appropriation ordinance. The appropriation ordinance does differ from the budget in a few ways, and so we provide for you a schedule on page 15 in your packet that kind of cross references what you approved in April as the budget by fund of the city funds, and then walks us through the different changes between the budget and the appropriation ordinance. So debt payments and the debt service funds are removed for the appropriation ordinance because when you approve the issuance of the bonds, that bond ordinance provides for that debt service principal and interest through the maturity of the bond. So we do not need to include that in the appropriation ordinance. The library budget is not included in the city's budget, but as is included in the appropriation ordinance. So we add the library's budget in. And then we include a 10% contingency by fund. That contingency amount has proven very beneficial to the city over the last number of years when we have unanticipated items coming up during the year. That allows us to go ahead with that unbudgeted expenditure with City Council approval, and then that's covered under the appropriation ordinance. We also include School District 67, and that is because of the charter for School District 67. So the school district doesn't recognize the appropriation ordinance process, and they approve their own budget, but we do by formality include their approved budget in the appropriation ordinance. School District 67's budget is not included in first reading, but you will see that appear in the final ordinance that you see on July 15th for approval. I do want to just talk a little bit about the rollovers. Those are included in the first reading as well. Rollovers are items that were appropriated in the prior fiscal year, but either were not started or were not completed by April 30th, and so we need to carry those funds into the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 25. So on July 15th, you'll have a complete detailed schedule of all of the rollover requests by project and by vendor, and that will be incorporated into the appropriation ordinance for final approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, we just ask for a first reading of the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 25.
Other questions or comments for Ms. Holub? Okay, hearing none, then I would like to ask for a motion to approve first reading of the fiscal year 2025 appropriation ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Bowers.
Aye.
Alderman Gushkarian.
Aye.
Alderman LaVert.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Clemmons.
Aye.
8 yeas, 0 nay, motion carries.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is items for omnibus vote consideration. There are 10 items this evening, so I'm going to read each of them. Upon finishing, if there are any items that any alderman would like removed or taken separately, please let me know. First item is approval of the June 3rd, 2024 City Council meeting minutes. Second item, approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Lake Forest and the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Senior Citizens Foundation. Third item, approval of Metropolitan Alliance of Police collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Lake Forest police officers. Item 4, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to award a design services agreement to Larson and Darby Group for the Waveland Park Pavilion project in the amount of $69,300 to include a 5% contingency in the amount of $3,465 for a grand total amount of $72,765. Item 5, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to award the thermoplastic lane marking bid to Superior Road Striping Incorporated in the amount of $85,000. Item 6, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to award a bid for the Recreation Center rooftop HVAC unit replacements project to Cahill Heating and Air Conditioning in the amount of $66,100 to include a 10% contingency in the amount of $6,610 for a total cost of $72,710. Item 7, approval to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Sports Surface Pros for Everett Park Tennis Court resurfacing services in the amount of $55,000 to include a contingency in the amount of $5,000 for a total cost of $60,000. Item 8, consideration of a waiver of permit fees related to the addition of farm buildings and a commercial kitchen at Aloha Farm, 1401 Middle Fork Drive, approval by motion. Item 9, consideration of ordinances approving recommendations from the Building Review Board for 890 Oak Knoll Drive and 1129 Griffith Road, first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. And item 10, consideration of an ordinance approving a recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals in support of zoning variances for 1129 Griffith Road, first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. Are there any items that the council would like removed or taken separately? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the 10 omnibus items as presented?
So moved.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Powers.
Aye.
Alderman Kashkarian.
Aye.
Alderman LaVert.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
Alderman Walder.
Aye.
Alderman Novick.
Aye.
Alderman Clements.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is old business, of which there is none this evening. The next item is new business, of which there is none this evening. So, at this time, I would like to thank Tucker for his service to the city today and read a Mayor for a Day certificate and present him with that, as well as some other minor goodies. All right. Whereas Tucker met his responsibilities with purpose and dedication, and whereas the city is proud to offer this opportunity to the young people in our community, and we support their enthusiasm to understand the role of mayor and the city council, and whereas, we use whereas a lot, if you we encourage students of all ages interested in the preservation and improvement of the quality of life in our community to get involved and continue nurturing their pursuit for knowledge. And now, therefore, be it said that the City Council of the City of Lake Forest, Illinois, hereby expresses its gratitude for the loyal and faithful public service he has given by means of this certificate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this is for you. Are we taking pictures up front? All right. Yeah, sure.
With the whole city council. Okay, and then I can come down. And then, did you want to come up for a picture? Two. And then city council wants.
Do you want to stand up?
Sure.
No, you have to stay over there.
Find your window.
Last item.
Ask members of the city council if they have any additional comments.
Are there any additional comments?
Job well done, sir.
Thank you, Tucker.
Hold on.
Tucker.
Are you available in 2 weeks?
Very good. All right, at this time, there being no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Last item. Excellent. Well done.